There's a Price Waterhouse Coopers survey on customer experience. And what they found was that 80% of Americans actually wanted more human interaction rather than less. So, I may be completely wrong, but to me, like that signals that empathy and judgment are going to remain central to the law, no matter how advanced things get.
Welcome to Power Up Your Practice. I'm your host, Ruby Powers, a law firm owner and law practice management consultant, author, podcaster, and adjunct professor. Each week, I'm so excited to invite other guests on to be able to learn from the inspiring minds and share practical tips so that we can all work smarter, serve our clients even better, and grow our firm. But after all, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. So let's power up together and continue to create the law firm and the life you deserve. Welcome, everyone. This is the podcast, Power Up Your Practice. Excited to have my guest, Rania Combs. She and I have met a not a long time ago when I read her article in the Texas Bar Journal, and it was about representing clients remotely, or maybe it was about estate planning. I'm not sure, but I hired her as my estate planning. What was the topic?
It was the topic about running a virtual law practice. It was back in like 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
And I think you were planning on moving overseas, and you connected with me about that. So it's been a long time. It's amazing how much technology has shifted. I mean, way back in 2009, when I told people I was going to start a completely web-based law practice, like everyone was so skeptical that it would actually work. But, I had been licensed to practice law in Texas. I had just moved to North Carolina with 3 young children under 8. And the thought of sitting for a bar exam just was so overwhelming. So, technology gave me the flexibility to, continue to practice law in Texas from my home in North Carolina and to deliver, legal services in a way I thought would resonate with other busy families like mine. So it's really interesting
story, because I saw you in the Texas Bar Journal and I was like, you know what? This is great. I should reach out to her and hire her as an experiment to see what it's like to not meet my attorney in person and to see how it would be to communicate and interact in a very important area. And see what it's like, because I was about to go move to Dubai and I was going to have to do something sort of similar, if you will, where I was going to represent clients without seeing them and how to deliver legal services virtually, which post-pandemic, everybody knows how to do it, it seems like. But before 2020, we were the rare unicorns that were doing it. And so I thought that was a really good experiment for myself, and it went well. So I was like, I thought that was great for me to be a guinea pig for what I was eventually going to do with
And what did you feel about that? I mean, like, how did you feel like it was a personal relationship? So that's the thing. Everyone thinks it's going to be so impersonal, but it actually, like, it kind of breaks down some barriers that you would get in a traditional firm, because you have access to, your attorney, you have a phone number, you have a portal where you're communicating with them, constantly. And so I think it makes for a really nice personal interaction with the client where you can form real relationships with them. And we've been friends now for more than 15 years because of it, right?
I know, it's great. And I know I didn't finish the rest of your intro because I got excited about that article. But so you had your Rania Combs Law PLLC, a fully virtual estate planning practice, launched in 2009. And like you mentioned, you're licensed in Texas and North Carolina, which was also funny because I went to law school in North Carolina, and I've lived in Texas majority of my life. So we had the 2 states in common. But you're working entirely online with families on wills, trust, and medical directives. And as an early adopter in technology and law, you've served clients 100% remotely for over a decade. And so that's so awesome. And you and I reconnected recently, and you were telling me about a program you're using, and just sort of the whole topic of like, what tools are we using and how can we better represent our clients right now?
Right.
And just sort of leaning into what makes us lawyers and how we can best serve our clients. So
Right.
let's go from there. What are
Okay.
some of the, what have you seen since you've been in this space for a long time, and how have you been using what you've learned to choose what programs to use to better serve your clients?
Yeah. So, I think, as technology improved, clients' expectations evolved, right? And
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
now clients expect convenience and accessibility. They want to be able to schedule appointments online. They want to be able to sign documents electronically. They want to be able to meet on Zoom if it's convenient. They expect to get a prompt response to a quick question rather than waiting days for a callback, right? And by offering these options to our clients, we're meeting them where they are. They don't have to take off time off of work. They don't have to arrange for childcare. They don't have to drive across
Mhm.
town. And I think that kind of accessibility, like I said earlier, just builds trust. So it just allows us to stay connected with clients, not only during the representation, but after the representation ends, because we can use technology to continue to communicate with them, whether it's through a newsletter, say, or whether we're sending them birthday wishes or things like that. So we're constantly in contact. And so, I've had clients for 15 years where, we continue to keep in touch. I represent their several generations in some families, which is really cool. So I become part, um, I always say, like, when my clients, after we're done, I probably know them better than their best friends. I know the things that are important to them, and what things keep them up at night, and um, that's really important to me, to build those kinds of relationships with them and to make sure they know that I'm watching out for their best interests.
So how do you, I mean, I probably know the answer, but I'm just curious, like, how do you continue to grow even though you're not really meeting anybody in person? Do you
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
I have a lot. I mean, I have a lot of relationships with, obviously, I'm continuing relationships with my clients. A lot of my business comes from referrals, from financial advisors who work with clients, and from clients referring their friends and families to me. I just worked with. I'm currently working with this couple. He called several weeks ago and said, just picked up the phone and said, Rania. And I said, oh, well, hello. And he said, well, I've been following you for 15 years. And I said, 15 years? What took you so long? He's like, well, now I'm 85 and I figured it was time. And so I think, like, a lot of, I also have my website. I write a lot for it. I feel like when people visit my website or subscribe to my newsletter, by the time they connect with me, they kind of already know who I am. So, it's word of mouth most of the time. And most of my growth is word of mouth.
Yeah, I know I've recommended people to you. So, I think
Thanks,
that's true.
Ruby.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I think that's really the way it is. Like as I was asking you that question, I was like, I know the answer for me. It's like you do a good job, you make a good connection, and then the word spreads. They don't need to see you in person. And it's also if you having that consistency in the client services is so essential for them to want to continue to pass the word and share that referral.
Well, Zoom and Meet makes it easier, right? It used to be we didn't have those options. It was mostly a, phone call. Sometimes we could use some kind of web service, but it was not as convenient. But now, most of my client planning conferences are face to face, like you and I. So we are kind of meeting face to face without being in the same space.
That's right. And when did my firm in 2011 to Dubai, we just had Skype and phone.
Right.
I don't even
Yeah.
remember what our first call was, how we did it, but it might have just been phone or something. I don't know.
Right. May have
Yeah.
been a phone call. But anyway, it
So
works.
you're like you saying that the clients sort of their expectations of their technology has evolved over this last many years that you've had your
Mhm.
practice. So you've had your practice six. I think we both started our firms in 2009. Is that what you started
I
your?
started 2009. Yeah.
Yeah, so
2009.
16 years old. Yeah.
Right.
Congratulations to us. Yeah,
Thank
this is
you.
our
Yeah.
celebration. I mean, in November is our anniversary month, so we're getting into full gear anniversary mode. But
Well,
that's so you said so how are some of the technology what's some of the technology you've changed over the years to adapt in this like really fully remote practice?
mhm. So I adopted the very first law office management platform. It was in 2009. It was called VLO Tech. And compared to what is available now, like it was not very advanced. I mean, technology has improved significantly since then. But
Yeah.
I continue to try. I continue to adopt new technology just to streamline my practice. What we had, I think we several weeks ago, we talked about kind of new technologies that are exciting in this age of AI. I mean, what excites me about the technology that's available right now is that it is making legal work more efficient and more accurate. I mean, it's excellent summarizing dense material and spotting information gaps and generating structured first drafts and handling all those repetitive and time consuming administrative work that frees us up to spend more time with our clients and to build those relationships that we need to do to answer questions that they have. And so the application that I mentioned is called Relaw, and it's this kind of like centralized client intake, client or workflow automation. It has document drafting and AI note taker all in one. And it's just completely streamlined my practice. It has automated all those repetitive and time consuming tasks that, I have to do, but are not fun, which leaves me more time for that high value work.
This episode is sponsored by Candle AI, the legal email assistant that helps legal teams spend less time on client emails. You heard me right, spending less time on emails. Candle AI works with both Gmail and Outlook, so you don't have to learn a new tool, and then it connects with popular case management systems like Clio, Filevine, INSSoom, and more to come. It instantly shows you your case and the client details the moment you open a client email, and right inside your inbox. Then that means less context switching and time spent jumping to different tabs to figure out what you need to respond. Candle can also draft context-aware responses to client emails and makes it easy to create, edit, and manage your email templates. If you want to save time and take back control of your inbox, check out Candle AI. I highly suggest it.
Are you using any AI tools?
Oh yeah, we're using a ton of them. I talk
Yeah,
about this regularly, but I you were so excited when we talked that you were like even
yeah,
did a demo, and I later spoke with the CEO of Relaw and recommended him to some folks to just like
that's
to get the
great.
word, yeah, just to get the word out a little bit, because what was I really I think that's the whole point, is like, how can we use this technology to better serve our clients? And
Right,
you've said some things like you are just able to enjoy the conversation and sort of get deep
right,
into the conversation and the talk and not have to be worried about taking all the notes and
right. So the cool
admin.
thing,
Yeah.
yeah. So the cool thing is right in the application. When I have a call scheduled, I can just click a button and invite a note taker in, and it lives in the file. And so it creates a transcript for me. It creates a summary, a call, and the AI in the application uses that conversation for context. It can tell me where there are information gaps or if there are inconsistencies between how the client answered a question in the questionnaire and what we discussed. Those are all things that are really valuable for me. So, and it, frees me up. I can really sit there and listen to the conversation and ask follow-up questions without having to scribble notes and potentially miss something important. So, yeah, I love it. Anyway, so I think, AI is really, really great for those kinds of things. What gives me pause is kind of this temptation to over automate, right?
Mm.
Like I was at a conference in September and I heard a pitch for technology that basically imagined automating the majority of the client journey. This AI agent would connect with a website visitor and answer questions and then screen them to, see if they were a good fit for the firm and then walk them through a client intake and summarize it and send it to the attorney after scheduling the appointment. And then after the appointment would take over and do everything else on the back end. And I remember thinking, like, how does this really work in real life? And how many websites is that potential client going to click on before choosing the firm they want to engage in? What's going to convince them to choose one firm over another?
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm not a computer whiz or a futurist, and I'm not naive enough to know or to think I know what the future holds with AI. But, maybe AI will actually live up to all the hype and there'll be an artificial intelligence, overlord that we'll all be working for. But, there are some really smart people who are suggesting we may not get there. So, as someone who's kind of, been practicing law for a while and, I don't think legal work is just about producing documents. Clients rarely come into my office or into my virtual office with complete clarity about what they want at the start of the engagement. Usually they'll come with a story and a few goals and maybe a worry they may not be able to fully articulate. And, listening and guiding and helping them make sense of their choices, that's what I do. And those are deeply human tasks. And, I worry that when we automate too much, we risk losing the context that makes, our counsel meaningful. So, my hope is that we can keep the human in the practice of law. But the article you sent me Jonathan Furlong's article when we were talking about what we wanted to talk about.
Jordan
and I think
Furlong,
that's Jordan Furlong's article. Yeah. And one of the things in there that he says is basically, like for the legal profession, kind of like the post AI ball game is going to come down to like trustworthiness and, building those relationships built on trust. And so that really resonated with me. Like I hope that's where it ends up.
Yeah, I think when we were preparing for this, we have a lot of tech in common, like having the virtual practices, but then it both what we do is a lot about trust. A lot of times people, I think, avoid coming to us because, like, for me, it's like they have to face the fact that they're status insecure or there's some uncertainty of some sort. And there's a lot of bureaucracy about it. And for you, it's like they're having to face their mortality and just like, oh, I don't want to think about that. If I don't ever talk to an attorney about it, then it's almost as if it'll never happen. I think that's I mean, even with like in immigration, like there's sometimes they'll be told something really negative by an attorney and they didn't qualify at the time, but then they never come back and check in, and then maybe they did and they do qualify. So like it's important for them to trust us. But back to I also think that you're right. You said something about like paperwork and things. Sometimes people have thought, oh, immigration is just filling out forms or something. There's so much more to that's just sort of like the tip of the iceberg. Really, there's so much what people are eligible for, are they not eligible, little minutia facts, entries, exits, who
Right.
brought them, how they came in, all those little things, which you're right. I've been using some AI tools to capture my consults and getting my notes in, because my handwriting, not that I handwrote anymore, but even my typing wasn't, I was like so engaged, like you're talking about.
Right.
I really was like wanting to, like, I was like listening to a movie and I wanted to like find out more, but I had to, oh yeah, I have to remember I'm an attorney, and I'm like, I'm giving them
And you have
chat.
to document things, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
Right.
so that's really been helpful. So when you showed me your program, and then I've been using something different, but it's like it's made my life so much better. And then I'm able to write
Right.
really good post consultation notes, and it makes me look
Exactly.
amazing because I'm all like, this is what we talked about. This is what I need from you. And this is what the next step is. It's on your plate.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. So
Yeah.
like I really feel like if for people, I know, lawyers are kind of slow to adopt technology, right?
Just a bit
And so,
sometimes.
yeah,
But not our listeners. I think our listeners are really close. So I'm believing in them. But yeah.
yeah. But I mean, if you're not using, these kinds of tools to help streamline your practice, you're missing out. I mean, they're great at doing the things that they can do well. They're and that frees you up to do the work that you enjoy doing more, right? The what we really went to law school to do, which is be the advisor and the counselor and the strategist. I mean, that's really what it's all about. So I
Wh-
feel like these tools are keeping are helping us do that.
What are some of the other programs or functions that you're using to sort of streamline your process and provide better client care?
Right. So, I use my case right now for
Mhm.
to communicate with clients and to send bills and keep time and things like that. But some of them are just kind of just fun applications that they're not expensive. They're just something you can just find online. Like I have a um, text plays that if I just put a little code in, it'll
Mm,
populate, like a sentence or a
mhm,
paragraph, which is great. I just have to put in, 3 letters. I'm using some functions on Word. Like I can put in some, I can't remember what it is, or what it's called, but it's like this auto text. I have all this auto text and I just start typing and auto text appears. There are different applications that you can create videos. For example, have you tried Loom?
yeah, yeah.
Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, that's so cool, right? Because you can start recording your video. If you mess up, you kind of stop, you start up again, and then the AI you can just remove all the places where you messed up, which is really awesome. So I think there are a lot of applications like that are available. There's just such an overwhelming amount of tools right now to
That's
try.
true.
Um, so yeah,
I my SEO guy a long time ago, I don't know, it's been many years. He got me onto Loom a long time ago because he was very big on asynchronistic communication. So
oh yeah,
whenever we were like, "Oh, let's get on a call," he was so like against getting on a call. It was funny. So he'd just record whatever he wanted to tell me over Loom and hope that it would resolve the problem. But we also do it for things like recording like training videos or
right, yeah.
explanations to clients, or I mean, Zoom, Loom, and we use
Exactly.
a lot of different these types of programs, but they're really helpful too when we were during the pandemic and we had to train our team. We only had 1 or 2 people in the office at a time, and we were trying to train them on how to prepare the document filings and things like that. But
Right, right.
yeah.
So I mean, I don't know about you, but my kids are older than yours. So I
Uh-huh.
have 20 somethings right now. But I also see them like there's kind of I'm hearing just kind of whispers of a backlash against over automation. I have these 20 something kids that are intentionally trying to cut back on screen time and turning on do not disturb all day long. They'll respond to texts and once a day or twice a day. I read article. I think I may have sent you that article about Luddite clubs forming college campuses, where people will meet without the distraction of technology to play games and to sing songs and to paint and things like that. And then, like my brother is younger than I am, like 11 years younger than I am. His kids, they're limiting access to cell phones. Like he has people in his neighborhood who are installing landlines to
I
avoid
heard
giving their
about that.
kids. Yeah. So like, I wonder, like, we're all jumping into, we're all thinking that technology, everyone's going to want to do technology, right? We're going to want to be able
Mhm.
to communicate with a bot. The other thing that I read recently, there's a Price Waterhouse Coopers survey on customer experience, and what they found was that 80% of Americans actually wanted more human interaction rather than less.
Mhm.
I may be completely wrong, but to me, like that signals that empathy and judgment are going to remain central to the law, no matter how advanced things get. Like people, as long as you're offering that kind of service, like if you're just a forms website, I mean that I guess there's some people who who that appeals to, but people who want that counsel, so long as you keep that that human side, that empathetic side, that counseling um, in the mix, I think that appeals to a lot of people.
Well, I think one of I think we're in this transition space, depending on where you are in your adoption of technology. But
Mhm.
I think we are in this space where the people who, the firms and the companies, let's just say in general, that are leveraging the technology, they're trying to find a balance between automating the like sort of what might be, some people have called it the unsexy, the mundane,
Right.
and trying to lean into what makes the humans human, or what people really want, the highest use of our time, energy, like that Jordan Furlong, I love that article, the advocate,
Yeah.
advise, and accompany. And I think
Right.
that's where we're in this transition. So like what can we get rid of? Like you and I both are like getting rid of the typing up of our notes so that we're not having to
Exactly.
worry about that. So we can just be like, let's focus on this conversation. And that's I've only been doing it maybe like a month or something, but it's been a big game changer for me. I think I was concerned
Right.
about the ethics and the technology and or whatever, but like now I'm happy with my what I've chosen to do.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I think that's, I don't know if anyone's coined the term, but I think we're sort of in that funky space where we're trying to give people what they want, but then trying not to have to do the things that can be automated, and leaning into what provides the service that is that just that highest and best use of our energy. And that
Mhm.
and I think that's really where we're going in general, and it might be a bit of a race to getting there, which firms are going to get there sooner, that because they'll ideally be more efficient and profitable if they're able to use the technology to not have to have like human labor time spent on things that could be automated and eliminated. But then like people don't want to necessarily be only talking to a robot for the whole time. Like they want to,
Right.
yeah.
I read an MIT Technology Review article a couple of days ago, and they mentioned, the buy now, pay later company Klarna.
Oh,
Apparently,
uh-huh.
it laid off a whole bunch of staff and paused hiring in 2024, claiming that it would be able to use AI instead. And then less than a year later, it started hiring, and the quote was, "AI gives us speed, talent gives us empathy." So I think that's a
Mm.
really, really great way of putting it. Like, we want to be efficient. We want to be accurate. Like AI tools right now can
Mhm.
speed up our or can make us more efficient. It can speed up our workflows,
Yeah.
and can make our work more accurate, right? So I don't necessarily think it's like there are going to be people who don't adopt technology at all. I mean, I think people, appreciate the convenience of technology, but not at the expense of connection.
Right. No, I agree. And that's so funny about what you said about the landlines and stuff. I was searching up like the generations. I normally speak about generations somewhere in some of my speech about like client experience and that type of thing because or so you could talk about it in like HR perspective, but my daughter is a Gen Alpha. She was born in 2012, 13. Anyway, and I was like, I should know this. But it's sort of funny. Like when she gets an email, she just like normally deletes it. I was like, the point of the email was to convey information.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
that's what we texted her the other day and she didn't respond back. I don't know if that was like teenager
Well, see,
or what.
no, but that's the thing. They're kind of just shutting that. Everything is on do not disturb. So when if I text my kids something, in the morning, I may not get a response for hours, from them because I mean, I almost think it's kind of like now that we're on the heels of Halloween, it's like after you've eaten so much chocolate, it's like you can't look at another piece of chocolate. And I think there's just such technology overload. I know that like every time I, make a phone call to some, service, whatever I'm calling, and I get an automated system. I mean, the first thing I'm trying to do is get to a
It's a
human.
human. Yeah.
I mean,
Like
even,
01 operator, whatever the
yeah,
secret
whatever.
code is.
Like I even break out my, my Charlie Brown adult voice sometimes. That sometimes works, one, 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 one. Like just get me to a human as fast as I can. And then there's nothing more annoying than, sitting on hold for an hour listening to an automated voice say, your business is very
It's
important
very
to us.
valuable.
Please stay on the line and someone will assist you shortly. Because seriously, if my business was that important to you, I wouldn't be on hold for an hour. So, like, yeah, I mean, I think there's kind of where we've hit this
Oh,
saturation point with, too much technology, and I think people are yearning for more connection.
so I
I'll
think
tell you, I went to the grocery store on Sunday night, and I didn't have a whole bunch in my cart, but I usually go to a teller, and I was just kind of not necessarily. I mean, it wasn't like I was in a bad mood, but I was in a great mood, and walked up this teller, and this lovely woman said, "Well, good evening. I hope you're having a great day." And she had this big smile on her face, and like it made all the difference. Like I left so happy. So
oh that
anyway,
that
yeah,
well,
people can make a difference.
I think that's probably the theme. It's like how do we use the technology to do the back end faster and efficiently, but still lean in on the human side, providing great customer service. And I
Right,
think that's what
absolutely.
we're all in a race to figure that out.
Yeah.
But I get
So
what you're saying. Like I was supposed to have I was a 30-minute Uber ride when I was at a conference in Tampa, Clearwater, and I scheduled to talk to my team on the Uber ride because I was like, it's a 30-minute Uber ride. I can squeeze in a meeting. And the
right.
Uber driver just started talking to me. And he was really interesting actually. And
Yeah.
so I told my team, I was like, I can't talk right now. We went all over the place, but it was just sort of fun. And I was like, why is this so much fun? It's like, because we're just being people. And I
Yeah,
wrote
exactly.
in a post somewhere, I was like, people being human. And like, yeah, that no duh, but like, no, seriously, like just sort of leaning into that and not um just all about automation and digitalization and virtualization. Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
It was like making connection, I guess. That's what it was.
Right.
It was great.
Yeah,
Well,
so yeah, I mean, I think, like the ideal partnership between lawyers and AI tools is one where, like each plays to its own strength. Like
mhm.
AI should totally handle the mechanical, the time consuming parts of legal work, organizing information, summarizing documents, streamlining drafting. I mean, these are important tasks, but don't require human judgment or empathy. And I think, lawyers who aren't using these tools are missing out. But lawyers, on the other hand, we bring context and strategy and discernment. And, we listen not only to what is said, but what isn't said. We read the room and we sense the hesitation and we translate uncertainty into clear direction. And, I worry that if we remove that human layer, the small details and those unspoken cues that shape that, sound advice gets lost. I mean, AI sometimes can produce really polished but wrong answers. Hallucinations are real, you know?
Yeah,
So,
that's true. We hear that a lot, and we keep
mhm.
having to reiterate that important point to review
Yeah,
what you produce or submit. Well, Rani, it's been so fun, just sort of like
same.
reconnecting, talking about,
Yeah.
sort of been doing a lot of similar work, growing our practices, leveraging technology, in a very sensitive space where, people really do come in and lean into that trust and support and advising role. And I think that's great that we could connect and talk about what, a little bit more about like how we're using tools to better represent our clients and build that connection. And I do agree that we're in a backdrop of like overload of technology and sort of just finding like that balance between sort of the saturation, but then still needing
Oh,
certain,
yeah.
our customer service, our client service needs met. Well, now it's time for our fun fact questions, rapid questions. So, what would you consider your favorite board game?
I don't play many board games, but I do play a game called Bananagrams with my daughter. It's kind of like Scrabble. Have you seen those? Kind of
Scrabble?
like,
Yeah, we own
it's,
it. Like
it's,
it's a cute little banana sack and
yes,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
has all the
Cute.
tiles. And my daughter and I have been playing it for, since she was a little girl. And you have to build words using tiles that you have, and you can dump tiles and you can pick some more up, and then the first person to get rid of all their tiles after all the tiles being used is the winner. My daughter is amazing, like she is unbeatable, and when I do beat her, on the rare occasion I feel really, really accomplished. But she is a wordsmith, and she's very, very good at the game.
Does she
So
do
that's
something? Does she do something with words as a career or an education? Or
No, she doesn't. She's always been a really great reader. And I mean, we were talking yesterday and she was lamenting how, she's like, AI is just making people incapable of critically thinking, so
I think she's
like she
right,
just
though. I
reads,
think she's
yeah,
right. Yeah, I
she
think I've
reads
said
a
that.
lot,
Yeah.
and she said, I read an article, or I listened to a podcast where all these professors are saying they can't assign more than one book to their students a semester. She's like, how crazy is that? Like they're unable to understand what a book says without someone telling them. So it's like, we have to be aware that we have to maintain as lawyers, we have to be able to maintain our critical thinking skills, right? Um,
Yeah, that's
to be
true.
able to serve our clients well.
Are you feeling overwhelmed by all the different things you have to do to run a law firm? Well, you're not alone. So many law firm owners are in the same boat. That's where Staffy steps in. More than 90 firms, just like yours, are leaning on their bilingual virtual staff for legal, administrative, marketing, and client-facing work, plus their full HR support. I currently have 11 team members with Staffy across my own firm and Power Strategy Group, and it's been a total game changer. Schedule a free initial consultation at staffy.cc, that's stafi.cc, and use the code RUBY, RUBY, for $500 off.
What is a habit that you know has contributed to your success?
A habit that has contributed to my success. I can be very. I don't mind being alone so that's kind of leading into that extra or introversion. I don't mind being alone, and I can focus. I have the ability to focus on the task that I need to do, and so I don't know if that's a habit, but just setting time,
Well,
time aside to really, like focus time to do the work that I need to do, I think has made me successful.
It is. A lot of people, there's a lot of distractions. It's hard to stay focused. And I think about the book Deep Work and how it takes a lot of effort to strengthen the focus muscle, I guess you could say, to get the deep work done. So,
It's
uh,
harder and harder every day, I
oh
think,
yeah,
with all the
yeah.
distractions. There's so much, social media and podcasts and,
Like, wasn't
chatter.
there the guy that like won one of the Nobel Peace or one of the I don't know, he won some award. It happened this summer and they couldn't get a hold of him because he was on vacation and he was like doing a detox of electronics.
Yeah.
Um, and then like he finally got opened his phone and it was like blowing up because everyone was trying to reach him and tell him. I was like, that's a great story. But like
But do you remember when we used to not have cell phones? Like there
yeah,
was
I
a
know.
time where we were not connected. We would go out on a
We
walk,
were not
people wouldn't
findable.
be able
Like
to
we had
reach
to
us.
coordinate, like we're gonna meet here at this time. Like we all survived
Right?
the era,
Yeah,
but there's some
exactly.
people who won't go anywhere without their phone. And I'm like, I feel like we're getting a lot of us might are there now because that's what we're so used to, like a crutch. But true. What's a favorite podcast or book you would recommend?
So have you read The Girl with the Louding Voice?
No.
There's an author it's Abi, and I don't know if it's Dare or Dare.
Okay.
She's a Nigerian author, and it is a brilliant book. And I would recommend it highly.
Awesome.
That's one of my
Well,
favorite books that I've read recently.
oh, well, is there anything else you want to share and also how people can find you and connect? It's been great
Yeah.
having you.
Well, you can connect with me obviously on LinkedIn. I also have a contact page on my website. It's raniacombslaw.com. And love to connect with anyone who's interested in chatting about these things or others.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Rania, for coming on to our episode
Thanks
today. And
for inviting me. It was really
yeah,
fun.
it was fun. And I can't believe, we've just continue to thrive in this like virtual remote, in my case, hybrid, but it's leveraging the technology and still making that connection with our clients and evolving just like the clients are evolving in what their expectations are, but and how the technology that we use to deliver those services. Well, thanks
And
everyone for listening. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, and I appreciate you so much always sharing what you know. I mean, you're in the Texas Bar Journal, you have your class at South Texas. I mean, that's amazing. You're just, going to make the next generation of lawyers more tech savvy. And that's a wonderful thing.
Oh,
We're
that's
lucky to have you.
Oh, thank you. We're actually opening up the office so that all 50 students hopefully
Oh my goodness.
are gonna because on my prior like exit interview or not exit interview, like
Mhm.
asking the student survey, they were like, why don't we go as a field trip to your office? And I was like, oh, that's a cool idea. So I'm gonna do a combo of field trip, see an office, and then I'm inviting some former speakers and slash networking. So I'm like trying to check off a lot
Oh,
of
that's
boxes.
awesome.
Yeah, that's
That's
gonna be fun.
wonderful. Well, that would have been, I mean, and it's so needed in law schools, right? Because
Yeah.
I never had the opportunity to take a law practice management class. Seems like, a lot of law schools prepare students for work in big law firms, and most lawyers are not going to work in big law firms. They're going to be working in solo or small practices like ours, so all those things are really, really important.
Definitely. I agree. Well, thanks all for listening to Power Up Your Practice. And if you enjoyed this episode, definitely connect with us on our school community, the Power Hub. And we also have the book Power Up Your Practice. If you have to like this episode, definitely share, recommend to a friend, and keep listening. And we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to Power Up Your Practice. I'm Ruby Powers, and it's been a pleasure sharing this time with you. We love your reviews, so if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us one and share this podcast with someone else so that they can know what you've been learning on our show. And make sure to check out the Power Up Your Practice book. It's available in paperback and Kindle on Amazon. It's packed with 25 chapters of strategies to grow and streamline your firm. And we also have the free Power Hub community on School to keep the conversation going in between the episodes. So make sure to keep powering up your practice, and we'll see you next time.